evening. This is the PNGTV Live News Bulletin. I'm Belinda, Kora. There are concerns that the antiretroviral therapy or ART drugs are running low in the country. People living with HIV in PNG recently formed a HIV Partnership Network Advocacy Consortium to have a collective voice with the goal to reduce the impact of the HIV epidemic and stigma within our communities. In 2016, UNAIDS estimated that 46,000 were living with HIV, among whom 52% were accessing ART. The forum hosted today was to raise concerns on the approach to addressing an emerging issue, which is the current low stock of ART supplies in PNG. Florida Gulaseni with this update.
Antiretroviral drugs is used as treatment by HIV patients by primarily preventing the HIV from multiplying, thus reducing the amount of HIV in the body. Having less HIV in the body gives the immune system a chance to recover. It is very important that ART use is monitored within Papua New Guinea to define how improvements can be made in the management of the HIV/AIDS condition. According to the HIV Partnership Network Advocacy Consortium, Papua New Guinea is running critically short on the antiretroviral drugs, and HIV-positive victims who are required to take treatment are at risk. Mara Elaripe from IGAT Hope, an organization that advocates for the human rights of people living with HIV in Papua New Guinea, says such forums organized are for the Health Department and the National AIDS Council to clarify plans to address the ART tablet shortage and address the victims directly of the measures that will be taken.
We have come to realize that ART, the antiretroviral drug, which is used to treat people living with HIV, is going to be out of stock, and we only have like about a month's supply left.
She added that as advocates, they are calling on the government for support and the health department specifically to try and get information on what the government has planned ahead of the issue.
The issue right now is we don't have money. We've been told that because the country doesn't have money to purchase ART. What is the health minister going to do? Is the health minister just going to sit there and listen to or watch people going to develop resistance and die, or what is it?
The director for the National AIDS Council, Dr. Nick Dalla, says such issues is about strengthening partnership to work collectively to address the issues at hand, and seeing the need, the National AIDS Council will do all they can to ensure that there are supplies of ART for the next few months.
What we're saying is the National AIDS Council will step in. From our budget, we will directly procure from a manufacturer and a distributor and fly it in the country, so it will take only 3 weeks or so.
Dr. Dalla encouraged the consortium to continue hosting such forums regarding mobilization, creating and enabling an environment to discuss freely and openly in terms of policy to address key issues that are very important. Florida Gulaseni, PNGTV Live.
The People's Republic of China continues to support the country as it prepares to host this year's Asia-Pacific Economic Leaders Meeting in November. Today saw the launching of 2 APEC road projects and the official handover of the upgraded International Convention Center to the PNG government. Gregory Avira with this report.
The International Convention Center project started in 2012. The center, spanning over 9,000 square meters, holds a main conference hall with a seating capacity of 700, 2 medium conference halls, 10 conference rooms, executive offices and other facilities. Following some renovation and upgrade work done, the center is now ready to host upcoming APEC meetings. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, in his keynote address, highlighted the importance of the support by China to ensuring this year's APEC meeting is a success.
Papua New Guinea will see during that week, and of course leading up to the APEC Leaders Meeting Week, many APEC meetings will be held in this convention center.
Also coinciding with the handover was the launch of 2 road projects under China aid. These include the rehabilitation of the Pore-Porena Highway and a new 6-lane boulevard which will link the Parliament House to Waigani Drive.
These 3 projects will positively improve the traffic condition in Port Moresby, bring more convenience for the city commuters, and provide better environment and venues for different kinds of conferences and meetings.
Meantime, Minister for National Planning Richard Marus says the government will ensure such facilities are maintained well for continued use beyond the APEC summit.
Our government will ensure we put in place through cabinet a management arrangement where this building is maintained and kept up well and used for a long time to come by an arrangement where we bring in some real professionals who know how to manage convention centers to manage this very important asset of our country.
Gregory Avira, PNGTV Live.
Two major infrastructure projects worth 110 million kina are currently underway in the nation's capital in preparations for APEC. NCD Governor Powis Pakop earlier this week officially announced the projects under the Chinese government grant and says it is a gift to the people of PNG. Florida Gulaseni reports.
Presenting a high-level brief on the two projects, which are the Boulevard Construction and Porapana Freeway Rehabilitation projects, Pakop says that the projects are approved by the Chinese government and fully funded.
It is being managed jointly with them, but on our part in the Commission, we don't have a lot of input into it, other than making sure the scope and are within the standard that we want and to a higher standard.
He added that after discussions between the two governments regarding the framework and responsibilities of the project, PNG government has accepted to facilitate with exemptions of goods and services tax and aid visa for workers, and China agreed to donate the project.
These are funding that are not catered for in the current budget. So if people are going to look for the budget, for the allocation in the budget, it's not there. This is a grant from the Chinese government that was negotiated after budget was passed in November last year. So it's not in the budget. You won't find it in the budget, but it's a commitment and allocation by the Chinese government, which they are managing. We're just benefiting.
Pakop thanked the Prime Minister and said the assistance for the aid is an opportunity through APEC that NCDC has been given with significant support.
As I keep saying, in the most part of the 42 years of our country's history, NCDC hardly gets this type of grants from government in the past. It's only in the last 5 years up to now we have got this type of support from the national government and from donors, because we have been hosting major events. So it's because of these major events that directly, indirectly benefiting the city.
Apart from that, Pakop says 10 major projects were also identified during the rehabilitation survey within the city, but were eliminated due to the funding and constructability criteria and time frame to complete all projects before the APEC meet. Florida Gulaseni, PNGTV Live.
Police in the nation's capital are investigating 4 major murder cases that happened during the Easter long weekend. The murders are mostly related to armed hold-up and robbery incidents with suspects already identified. Quintin and Aime with this update.
On Thursday evening, on the eve of Easter,
another willful murder happened at Gerehu Stage 3 on March 29th in relation to a break and enter at a home. The third murder occurred during a drunken brawl on April 1st at Talai Settlement. The fourth big case currently being investigated is the shooting of a woman at Windsor Motel in Boroko area.
Our CID are investigating the crime, and they've been doing well over the last week. We now know the identity of them. It's a matter of picking them. They're not staying where they should be staying, and we continue to send a team out daily to bring them in.
Meantime, Drano reveals the crime rate remains at a steady rate, with car theft, robbery, pickpocketing, and continuous violation of traffic rules are common crimes committed.
We hope that the public continue to observe the rules and do their part in making sure NCD is clean as per the arrangement from NCDC to make our city more hygienic than it is now.
He adds NTD Police is also assisting Central Police carry out major investigations. Quintina Naime, PNGTV Live.
You're watching PNGTV Live News Bulletin. More after these messages. You're watching PNGTV Live News Bulletin. Lands and Physical Planning Minister Justin Kachinko has tasked the Lands Department to relook into the legitimacy of landowners for the controversial logging activity in the Collingwood Bay area of Oro Province. This comes after a heated debate between Oro Governor Gary Jufa and Forest Minister Douglas Tomuriesa on the floor of Parliament last week. Festus Magan up with this update.
You sit down.
Last week's brawl in Parliament hasn't stopped there.
You sit down. You're not stealing ground, no plus for me. You are.
It has made its way into the Lands Department, where Minister Kachinko has tasked the Office of the Secretary and appropriate divisional heads to thoroughly look into the matter presented by Governor Jufa and Minister Tomuriesa. Investigations where the Lands Minister expects an outcome by Friday this week to be able to make a public statement.
The Honourable Governor, Gary Jufa, has personally come to my office, my ministerial office here at the Lands Department, to give me a full brief and a letter, official documentation on his concerns of who are the legal customary landowners of the logging site and of that land, which I have got, and he's raised some questions for investigation. I've also had numerous meetings with the Minister for Forest as well, who has also got appropriate documentation and clarity on who the landowners are as well.
The confrontation on the floor last week has stirred a lot of criticisms, as the concerned project lies in the Collingwood Bay area, where past projects similar in nature had to be stopped by the courts.
Here I have a legitimate land title of landowners dating back to more than 100 years.
I have a document here from the Council of Chiefs signed by the Chief Magistrate of the Wanigala Village Court that completely refutes his claims and statements.
Be fair.
Minister Kachinko has taken both accounts into consideration, tasking his team to get this resolved once and for all.
To clarify crystal clear who are the landowners of Collingwood Bay and this particular plantation and logging site. I'm the only one that can do that, and that will help resolve the issue between the Minister and the Governor straight away.
Festus Maigana, PNGTV Live.
Persons with disabilities require all the support they can get in ensuring they too live normal lives. Cheshire Disability Services Programs Officer Joyce Kopere says according to the United Nations rectification on the support for persons with disability in PNG, there is still a long way to go. Florida Gulasini with this update.
With the country still trying to understand how disability organizations operate, many organizations, service providers in disability, as well as the support of the government and well-involved sectors of health support for PWDs has seen an improvement.
We are getting slowly getting there, and I say with my experience, there is a big difference compared to maybe some 10 years ago. You will see that people are talking, people are including persons with disability, as well as what they are doing. They are also being considerate and trying to be able to include them in whatever, in schools.
Up-to-date disability organizations still do their best in providing awareness and guidance to ensure that the whole nation are informed and able to understand how disability organizations function.
But we also look into children. We look at children with disabilities, and there's Children's Day that we do, as well as some of those national events that we have, like Independence. We also have a program that we conduct, we have here, which is an oldest program here, residential care and protection. And this is where we have these disabled who are from different, provinces.
She added that with the new disability legislation being drafted by the Department of Community Development, she hopes that such loopholes will be addressed and this special group of people will be included in what the government plans ahead for the country and its people.
To understand this part in terms of the getting it implemented fully. But I will say the country it has changed from, some years ago, 5 or 10 years ago, and now they're being included in most of the things that we do. Yeah.
Kora added that as service providers, they will continue to ensure the rights of persons with disability gives voice, visibility and legitimacy to disabled people and their issues in the country and the rest of the world. Florida Gulaseni, PNGTV Live.
The Artists for Cause concert has raised a total of 30,000 kina towards the earthquake-stricken victims of Hela and Southern Highlands provinces. The funds raised will be divided into 3 most affected areas and delivered by the artists themselves with the help of Heli Solutions over the weekend. Florida Gulaseni reports.
The concert showcased big-name artists like B Red, 04, Butterross, Malmalinga Kuri, Big Mac, Cronox, CMB, Sprigga Mac and Wame Blood, and for the first time featuring international known live painter Jeffrey Figure. Spearheading the cause, Johnny Yawari, also known as Wame Blood, says the target of 50,000 kina was not reached, but all the musicians are thankful for the support they received.
Now, because of the timing factor, we play always the concert. At least we raise enough funds for giving back to all people, back to all provincial government, Hela and Southern Highlands one time.
With the aim to divide the total amount of funds raised towards the 3 most affected areas in Southern Highlands and Hela provinces, the Hela Provincial Deputy Administrator was present to receive their share of 10,000 kina.
And then for Southern Highlands, Friday we are flying to Mendi. We do the presentation in Mendi, and then weekend we'll be in Kutubu and we do the presentation in Kutubu. So, money that we have made, we play splitting law, Hela, Southern Highlands and Mendi.
Hela Provincial Deputy Administrator Eddie Yui, upon receiving the check, says such initiatives is the first of its kind and the fund given will be given to the worst affected areas in Hela to help with priority needs.
Responding to immediate supplies of food rations. That's phase 1, immediate to the very devastated victims who just been affected by the 7.5 magnitude. And now we are doing a postmortem, meaning doing a stock take of how many rations that we have stored.
The artist will depart on Friday this week to Mendi, where another 10,000 kina will be given to the Mendi Provincial Authority, followed by Kutubu. Yawari says the support received was tremendous and the artist will try to stage another concert later this year, but this time in a more public arena so everyone can be part of the drive for a worthy cause. Florida Gulaseni, PNGTV Live.
You're watching PNGTV Live News Bulletin. More after these messages. You're watching PNGTV Live News Bulletin. The Department of National Planning and Monitoring is now doing a review on the tax credit scheme to ensure there is transparency and existing procedures are followed. Minister for National Planning and Monitoring, Richard Murrow, informed Parliament today that a national consultation on tax credit is scheduled next week with all stakeholders involved. Quintin and I'm here with this update.
The tax credit scheme was put on hold and a review into the awarding of contracts was needed to ensure the process of awarding contracts was transparent and followed existing procedures. Minister Maru states while the tax credit allows for the implementation of vital infrastructure, stringent processes must be followed in awarding contracts funded under tax credit schemes.
One of them is the projects have no input from governors and local MPs of parliament. The other issue is funds are being used in areas outside of the impact areas. The other concern that has been raised is the fact that in a lot of the contracts that are awarded, there is no transparency in the way the contracts are managed.
The consultation will look into how to improve tax credit and submit to Cabinet a set of new recommendations on the way tax credit should be managed.
These funds belong to the national government. One of the issues, Mr. Speaker, I've had is many times when we go out and launch projects involving tax credit, the national government is not even mentioned. And I think that is totally wrong. And this needs to be fixed.
Maru was responding to questions raised by member for Komo Magarima Manasseh Makiba on how projects are identified and nominated under the tax credit scheme. Quintina Naime, PNGTV Live.
A final environmental plan for the Wafi Golpu Gold Project in Morbe Province will soon be submitted to the Conservation and Environment Protection Authority, or a CEPA, for assessment. Minister for Environment and Conservation, John Pundari, says CEPA will ensure there is no environmental impact done in the area where the mine is operating from. Quentin and Naime with this update.
There has been a good environment study done.
With production for the Wafi Golpu Gold Copper Project expected to begin in 2020, member for Makam Koni Iguan raised concerns in Parliament today over the environmental impact of the mine. Iguan says there is a possibility that tailings from the mine will affect the Makam River. Iguan called on the government to assure the people that there has been a good environment study done for the tailings of the mine.
Like you assuring people, Blomi, that their river will be safe, and the environment issue caused by that will guarantee the livelihood of our people. Related to the legacy that is left behind by Oak Teddy.
Pertaining to the environmental impact.
In response, Minister Pundari confirmed that an environment inception report has already been provided to SEPA. A year review will be done and submitted to the Environmental Council before Minister Pundari gives his final approval. He states Wafi Golpu is considering a terrestrial tailings storage facility to collect the tailings, but they must take into consideration that PNG is in the ring of fire that causes tectonic movements. Wafi Golpu is also considering a study for a deep-sea tailing placement, which Pundari says comes with risks.
But we have to take those risks if we need significant developments as such, so as to helping us support our needs of growth in the country, Mr. Speaker.
Pundari highlights proper studies will be done and hopes there'll be financial resourcing available to complete those studies to ensure an approval is given to best minimize the impact on the environment. He reveals SEPA will be able to monitor in compliance of any environmental permit that it provides. Quintina Naime, PNGTV Live.
And this is where we end the news. Up next, Festus Magana with the business segment. Good night.